I have to be honest, I am really happy with what Dark Horse has been doing with these Den releases. I mean, it's like a dream come true. You know, you don't have to track down like these print runs that had like, I don't know, however many thousand and never got reprinted. Or you don't have to go back and try to get your old copies of heavy metal. Some of them are really expensive depending on the year or release or whatever. So I'm happy that these have all been re-released by Dark Horse. So we're going to take a look at this. Richard Corben, one of my favorite artists of all time. I just got this a couple days ago, but I've been kind of slacking on making videos. But here we go. We're going to go through Den, and I'm going to cover all of them. I think there's going to be 6 or 7 releases altogether, and Dark Horse has been knocking it out of the park. Recently, I know that there was a big gap between release of number 1 and number 2, but I think I just did number 2 like 2 weeks ago, and now I've got number 3. So first off, we're going to look at this beautiful, amazing cover. I actually don't know what to expect because I'm not sure what these years of Den look like. So I'm excited, and I'm going through this with you guys for the first time. And if this is, you know, your second time, third time, whatever it is, I hope you enjoy it. But this is my first time going through this. I'm very excited. So beautiful cover. I mean, just the book looks amazing. So I'm going to take this dust jacket off here. Hold on, I'm going to move this microphone out of the way. Alright, so here's our cover. Beautiful cover. Man, it looks amazing. None of this, like, they're taking pictures of it and it's, like, low quality. I mean, the quality's amazing. Everything looks great. No weird pixels or anything like that, to my knowledge. And then, of course, we have this beautiful opening page here. Just, oh my goodness. Man, Corben really was so great. Such a great artist. I know I'm probably going to repeat a lot of the things that I say in my other videos, but man, he is unbelievable. My only issue is I hate glossy paper, so, but I know it makes his work really stand out when it's on glossy paper, so I'm not going to totally complain. And here we go. Some article. I'm not sure what's going on here, so I'll have to read that at some point. I have not read any of the Den series. I'm going to read them once I get all the copies, or all the volumes. Once they release all the volumes, then I'm going to read it. So I'm just taking a look at the art here, and man, those colors, just beautiful stuff. I'm not sure of the year of when this stuff came out. I'm assuming we're probably up to the 80s at this point. And I'm not sure how they were released. I don't know if they were being released in single issues or if they were being released in heavy metal as well. I'm not sure. So I'm not really sure about the release. A lot of dark here. At least looking at it in person. I think on screen it actually looks better than it does in person, surprisingly. It's a bit dark. Yeah, this printing does seem a bit dark, but hey, whatever. You get those beautiful oranges that really, really just pop on the dark. He's using a lot of black here, a lot of orange, a lot of blue. So whenever you get that nice orange, it really pops. I love what he's doing there with the reflection of the knife. Man. I mean, Corben is one of those guys where his work is so bizarre, but it looks so damn good. Man. Has a very psychedelic feel for sure. Very of its time, but also aged beautifully as well. I just love what he does with faces and expressions. Man, it's just like, you know, like he's like there, it looks like the eyes are kind of off, but it looks so good. Man, I don't know how he gets that color. I mean, he might be the greatest when it comes to putting color on the page ever. I mean, if I don't know much about color, I only do black and white. I'm not a big color guy at this point. And man, it just makes you want to really get into color. Just how beautiful, you know, he does with his shadows and his color there. It's just beautiful stuff. He uses a lot of oranges, blues, and greens, and they really pop. And man, Dark Horse did a beautiful job at giving us a very high quality version of this release. They did not cheap out, you know. And I'm not even really I don't really care about the glossy paper, because it at least has like, it's glossy, but it actually has kind of like a matte feeling to it. It's weird, but it's, man, just beautiful stuff. I mean, look at that. Very like cinematic with the close-ups, and then he's doing like the medium shots, and man, look at that. Wow. That's a bizarre panel down there. And look at those arm muscles. Like, look at how solid those forms are of that muscle there. And look at the forearm and the veins. Oh. Wow. Look at that water, too. That water looks beautiful. I love how, like, blue the water is. It's, like, this very, like... I don't know. It's, like, a... It's just such a strong colored blue, and it's not, like, your natural color of a blue. It's very weird, but I love it. I also love the action and the gesture. I put action and gesture together and said acture. But the action and the gesture, just amazing stuff. Wow. I love the backgrounds too. He's even doing like weird tiling that are going in different perspectives. Man. I mean, it's stuff like that that like really makes something look natural, you know? Because you would have that where like not all the tiles are going the exact same way. It's like it shows like flaws of humanity, you know? And I hate when like, or flaws of structures that are built, whatever. I hate when you like get somebody who draws something like perfectly, like everything is parallel, everything's lined up. It's like it's just like little details like that, little cracks in the ground, you know. This one's going off that way, that one's going off that way. I mean, it's just all going in different directions, and I love it. I also love that pose too, the bending pose. And man, his anatomy, like the back anatomy, is beautiful. My one gripe with this is I think it is a little too dark, and I don't know if that was the intention or if it's just the printing. I'm not sure. I don't have the originals. I wish I did. Man, that's beautiful. The way he does water and the splashing in the water, man, when I see that, I think of like Killing Joke with Brian Bolland. Like those beautiful swirls in the water. Man, look at that. Great. Just, there's so much, like, the weight is beautiful as, like he's being pulled up out of the water and, like, his body is, like, lifeless. It's just, man, it's just so beautiful. I see a lot of Bisley there. You definitely know that Bisley was looking at stuff like that for sure. Man, Bisley just like, I mean, totally copied Corben at some points. Like, but how could you not want to draw like Corben? I mean, look how beautiful that bottom panel is there. It just looks so good. I love the action too. The other thing that I love about Corben is like he does things like just to like so you know the difference, like the color that he's using between the characters. Like you're never confused what the characters, which character is which, but just in case you're confused for whatever reason, he makes it even less confusing by changing the complete entire skin color. I don't, it's just like, yeah, it's cool. I know that, I don't know, I guess it's supposed to be like that for story purposes, but it's just cool. You know, we got red versus blue, man. Then you get like really sketchy stuff here. I don't know if this was like rushed, but it looks good. It's just very sketchy. It's not as like Corben-esque. Man, look at that. The muscles of the neck as he's turning it, and the light and the shadow. It's so cool. Like sometimes he uses multiple light sources. It's look at those clouds. Look how beautiful those clouds are. Man. That water looks so good. How it's like wrapping around her body. Man. Such cool stuff. It's so funny because like you can definitely tell that so many people, and then we finally get Den. So many people are inspired by Corben. Like you can see how much of an impact this guy had on so many people. It's insanity. And I imagine like, you know, you go back to the heavy metal days, like heavy metal came out in the 70s. I feel like comics did not look like that in the 70s. Now, I'm assuming this is much, much later, but even in the 80s, I love it when an artist has the ability to have an art style that you can easily tell who it is, right? Like Kirby has that, Corben has that, Neil Adams has that, Buscema has that, but I feel like the new artists that come out, it's very hard to decipher like who's who. And then also when you started getting into like the 80s, guys were copying each other, and obviously in the 70s you had like the house style, so it's really hard to tell like, is that Gene Colan or is that, you know, this guy? I don't know who's a good example, who's a good, you know, I don't know, whatever. But and when you see an artist, especially Corben, who's just doing his own thing, I think that's the greatest thing about Corben is like Corben was just doing his thing and he didn't care whether it sold. It seems like he didn't care whether it sold 5 copies or 5 million copies. He was just like, I'm gonna make the comics that I want to make, and if people go out and buy it, that's awesome, and if people don't, that's cool too. I don't care. And it just took off. And you know, I don't know how well these sold, but I mean, I feel like Corben's like one of those guys where as time goes on, you know, he's appreciated more by the masses, but you know, you can tell that there were so many artists that came out after Corben that were looking at his work and were inspired by it and loved it. So I have no idea what this is. So we have like an extra here where there's like a bunch of, you get some kind of like, I guess there was pencils and then they added the color to it and the different color changes. I'm not sure if they changed the color. This is pretty cool. Get some extra stuff in the back. And I love that crisp sound of the pages separating from one another. Man. Get a bunch of different covers and some explanations. I'm guessing there's a, I don't know if these were letters that were sent to him. I'll have to check this out at some point. And then of course we get some awesome covers, and my goodness, look at that stuff. Very dark though. Maybe he was going through like his dark period, you know, but a lot of blacks. And but the colors, man, it's funny because the colors are very muted here, and I feel like that's not your typical Corben thing. And then we get some grayscale stuff, which is nice because you want to see how like he finds his values and you know, how he works with light and shadow, which is actually a great inclusion. And I'm happy that Dark Horse did that, because I feel like Dark Horse knows that this is going to be bought by artists like myself. And that's great. I'm happy that they're at least catering to artists, because I feel like this, you know, if this was 10 years ago, I don't think this would be included. So I'm happy that it's included. And they did that, I think, in volume 2 as well. Man. So cool. And then this is the, I think this is the first issue again. I'm not quite sure why. Maybe this is the original colors of the first issue or the first part. I'm not sure, but this is definitely number 1, or the first appearance that I know of Den. So maybe they re-released it with the original colors. Maybe there was an issue with volume 1 where the colors were all screwed up and they added this. I'm not sure. The other thing that I love about these is I believe these books are sewed at the spine, which is great. So you never have to worry about it like ungluing or anything like that. Man, I love that purple. Just his color work. I mean, and the other thing I love is you see the growth. It's really beautiful to look at, and how he changed, because I feel like his his ability to draw, well, it improved, but I feel like his color work and his understanding of value got so much better. But I actually kind of like this stuff. Well, I like them both. I wouldn't say I like one over the other, but and there we go. And then we have our back cover. Man, volume 3 is rad. I mean, it's super rad. I mean, again, I haven't read any of the Den stuff because I want to, like I said, I want to wait until I get them all, and then I'm going to sit down and I'm going to read them all. But such a beautiful comic. I mean, Corben is a master. One of my favorites of all time. I'm so happy that I know about Corben. He's kind of like Frazetta for me. Like, I didn't know about Corben until I started to draw. I'm so happy that I did, that I found Corben, and because when you want to become an artist, you're going to find a ton of different artists and you're going to be blown away by them. But Corben, to me, is such a unique artist, and you can't quite pinpoint if he's like I don't know who inspired Corben or who Corben was inspired by, or it's just kind of this unique style that you haven't seen before and haven't seen since. You get Bisley, who not copies him, but is definitely inspired by him. And you can definitely tell that, Eastman is inspired by him. So there's a lot of artists who are inspired by him, but man, he's super rad. So anyways, guys, thank you so much. Pick this up. It's awesome. I'm so happy that all this stuff is finally available, but pick it up if you can. If not, just, pause the video and take a look at it and enjoy it. And if you're an artist, Corben is one of those artists that you should absolutely try to get everything he's done, or at least Den, all of it, because practicing from Corben and trying to understand what Corben is doing is going to be so helpful for color theory, for values, for how light and shadow works. He uses different light sources, and he was just, yeah, unbelievable. All right, video's over.